Hi there, everyone. In this video, I'm going to be looking at the topic of our mental constructs, how we form mental pictures or ideas in our mind. And I'll be using an analogy built around the concept or idea of a jigsaw puzzle. Many of you have probably done jigsaw puzzles, taking the pieces and putting them together to form the finished picture. This is something that I used to do a lot when I was a child, and I was kind of very devoted to it at a young age. So when I was about kindergarten age, around 5 years old, I was doing large jigsaw puzzles, like 500 to 1500 pieces. And when you are doing a puzzle like that, the box that the puzzle comes in has a picture of the image that will be formed when the puzzle is complete. So you start out with that image in your mind of what the puzzle is going to look like. And as you're assembling it, that image kind of helps you hone in on finding pieces you're looking for to speed up the process. So it helps expedite your process of assembling the puzzle. If you didn't have that picture, if there was no image given to you, and you were just given a box full of puzzle pieces, it might take a little bit longer, it might be a little bit more challenging to complete the assembly of that puzzle. In our lives, our mind does something that we can, in a sense, compare or make the analogy of with putting together puzzle pieces. What I mean by this is that our mind gets pieces of information or data, different sensory impressions, different stories that it's told. So it's receiving these puzzle pieces of information that it's using to construct a picture of reality. And when we're receiving those pieces of information, we often don't consider or realize how limited they are. What our mind tends to naturally do is create a picture of reality based on whatever limited amount of puzzle pieces, per se, are available to it. The mind doesn't like to have a fragment of a picture. It likes to have a whole picture to work with, to respond to life with. If you picture that process of putting together a jigsaw puzzle, when you just have a small number of the pieces of that puzzle in place, it doesn't look so great, and you're kind of eager to complete that puzzle so you'll have the finished picture. In our lives, we don't like to have just a few puzzle pieces and the idea that we don't know the whole picture. We prefer to just form a picture in our mind with whatever puzzle pieces we've been given or we've accessed. You can use the example of whatever topic or subject may appear in the news, in current affairs. If you turn on a television show and see quick, short sound bites or items about a particular topic, you're being given some limited puzzle pieces, small bits of information about that topic, which may present to you the idea that they're giving you a more full picture of whatever that subject or phenomenon is. When we receive those pieces of information, we don't like to say to ourselves, gee, I only have a tiny bit of information about this. I still don't really know much about what's actually going on. It feels better to convince ourselves that we're well informed that we have a meaningful or useful picture of what that external reality may be. So, of course, our minds will naturally fill in what would be the missing puzzle pieces and create a picture, a mental concept or construct of what that reality theoretically is. Another thing that often occurs is once we form some mental picture or idea of what we think reality is or what some phenomenon is, we will actually apply some bias or discrimination process filtering what pieces of information we'll gather to either reinforce or not reinforce that particular picture we have in our mind. Some people refer to that as a confirmation bias, where they'll take in information that confirms their existing picture, and they'll ignore or reject information that doesn't conform to their existing picture. If you think of a jigsaw puzzle, imagine that there were just tons of puzzle pieces lying around. You didn't have a picture on a box to show you what the finished image is meant to look like. So you start to pick up some pieces, and in your mind you create an image of what picture those pieces are a part of. Then once you've formed that image, you may only look for other puzzle pieces that appear in your perception to fit into that image, and you'll ignore any other pieces that are lying around that don't fit into that image. This is what we do all the time in our daily lives. We pick up the pieces that we think are consistent with the image that we already have in our mind. And if we see pieces out there that don't fit with the image that we have in our mind, we'll ignore or discard those pieces. We may or may not be justified in making those choices. Our current image or picture may or may not be very accurate. For those that are looking to expand their consciousness and get a greater understanding of any phenomenon in life, it's helpful to realize that we tend to apply these biases, that our minds like to have some complete picture to use as a reference to work with, as something to apply in living our lives. So we often make some errors as we form those pictures using only a limited amount of puzzle pieces, metaphorically speaking. As we're able to access and gather more data, more information, more puzzle pieces, the picture of reality would naturally tend to evolve. It would become more complete and more clear, and perhaps much different than it was when we began the process of assembling the puzzle pieces. Each of us can look back upon our own lives and see how our beliefs, our perspectives, our understandings of different phenomena have changed. So we're all evolving as we access more experience, more pieces of information. The next time you might happen to look at a jigsaw puzzle, think of how this metaphor applies to our daily lives. I appreciate each of you for taking the time to view this video, and I invite those watching this to view other videos that I've presented on YouTube. You can also visit my website at www.phinsights.com for access to other information about holistic health, spirituality, consciousness, mind-body wellness. Again, the website is phinsights.com. That's phinsights.com. For now, I'd like to wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.